doesn't exist, and when it even gets close to it, it becomes boring. Period. Because people want stuff that's made by humans. They want those little errors. They want those little choices. They want all that. That's really it. So, perfection, sure, a lot of people shoot for it, but it doesn't exist. It hasn't existed. It will never exist. Period. It's something unattainable. It's like utopia. Utopia doesn't exist. It might be close to it here or there, but it becomes boring, bland, predictable. If anything's too perfect, just look at music, okay? A lot of music, if it sounds like it's made by a machine, people don't like it as much. Now, electronic music, click track, all that, I get that. It's right perfectly in place, but not all the choices are perfect, right? And dance music's good for energy, and that's a lot of low electronic music. Let's just face it, especially my time growing up and all that. I'm 40, so yeah, it's okay. But here's the thing: does it have emotion to it? Does it really draw you in? It just has energy. Just energy is fine. But with everything played right, with everything played just perfectly, all the timing right, there's style's what you do wrong, and there's nothing being done wrong. So you can have a bunch of stuff right next to each other that sounds, like everything is done where it can't be done any better. There's guitar players out there that are like this that won't release stuff unless they're perfect. They're the most boring things to listen to. Period. And that's really all there is to it. We're looking for mess ups. We're looking for inconsistencies. We're looking for all that stuff. So it doesn't seem manufactured. It seems built. You want manufacturing on a vehicle, so everything is as good as it can be. With art, you don't. You want that wiggle room. There's no such thing as a perfect movie. There's no such thing as a perfect book. There's no such thing as perfect anything. And people keep chasing perfection. Here's how I know this. There's a guy named Leroy Virgil. He plays and sings in Hellbound Glory, which is a country group, okay? Not everyone's favorite or whatever, but let's put it this way. I talked to him once, and he said he was just still chasing the perfect song. Well, he's going to be writing until the second he dies because he's never going to be able to do it, and he knows this. Period. Right? And maybe that search for perfection is what keeps a lot of people going, but at the same point, it is what stops a lot of people too because they don't want to do stuff unless it's perfect. Well, then they're never going to do anything, and if they do make something perfect, it's going to be so boring that people aren't going to go back to it and all that. The reason I say that is I heard Yngwie Malmsteen, which is a guitar player, as a kid. Now, if something comes up where he's playing on it, I turn it off. Period. Because I know I'm going to be bored. And I know it's just technique. There's no heart behind it. There's no stylistic choices behind it. It's just paint by numbers. You may as well have it as an assignment in class somewhere. Like, play all these perfectly, and then if you do, you get an A+. Well, a lot of us aren't looking for A+. A lot of us are looking for something that grabs us, that holds us. And it's really hard to grab onto anybody when it's that slick and polished. People will say they like slick and polished, but I'll tell you this. With the other channel, I did over 3,100 videos in a year. I was doing 7 movie recommendations every day. I tried to make it through them all, but that didn't happen, obviously. There's a lot that I didn't make it even 10 minutes into. And some of it is because it's too slick, it's too paint by numbers, and people have ideas of what a perfect movie in whatever genre is. That means the same beats get hit every time. The story is set up the exact same every time. The actors are acting the exact same way. The character names have been changed so it doesn't seem like straight up plagiarism. And that's it. Slashers are notorious for this. There's a lot of books that are notorious for this. There's a lot of styles of music that are notorious for this. A lot of sci-fi movies, just stories in general. And I know that's part of the way that they become genres and everything else, but if we're going to be completely honest about it, perfection actually is one of the worst things, at least in my opinion, that you can do for making something. Because at that point you have really no room to surprise anybody, even yourself. And if there's no room for something that somebody did not expect, then there's no reason for them to pay attention to it, for them to take part in it whatsoever, because they've already experienced it without experiencing it. So that's just the way I see it.